Every year, 4 student directors put together a showcase after a semester-long directing course. Aquila sat down with them in this roundtable to learn about their processes, growths, and cherished moments.
Having to literally direct people helped me grow a lot as a leader, helped me grow.
And as soon as we realized how to work with each other, we were unstoppable.
So it was great to step into that role and really find ourselves as people, not only as directors,
really
but
pointing
really
those things
that
out and gathering them all together, and I was able to create
But yeah, it was
my
just
vision
great
was
to
after reading it 1,000 times.
Centered around the theme of school and like the school environment. Could you tell me a little bit about how you guys chose your specific plays?
We started around like August when we were just looking through plays, like in Miss Lingery's closet, because she has a bunch of plays in there. We were also looking online, so it took a lot, at least for me, because I had to cycle through so many, because I really wanted to find like that perfect play that I really resonated with. And it took me like a good, I want to say 3 weeks, and I just remember reading my play and like literally like crying when reading it, and I was like, yep, this is the one.
Bethany?
Sweetheart?
We need to talk to you about something very important.
For me, it was probably a 2-day stay in MLK Library. I think when I found my play, I at first hated it. I had like a lot of grievances, and then I reread it because I thought there was some really good content and material, and I realized that a lot of editing would have to be done to the script. So it was like a process for me to finally be happy with the play the way it ended up. But I wouldn't change it from the way that it finally ended.
I think for me, I had like kind of a different experience. When I first started reading, my show was one of the first ones that I ended up reading, and I like immediately fell in love with it, and that was one that I'd read all of them, and I wasn't super in love with them, and that was one that really just clicked for me, and I kind of had my heart set on that, and even though I read other ones after that, I kind of always went back to the one that I ended up choosing, and yeah, so I kind of always knew that it was going to be that one.
Pretty long time. It was a little bit, definitely a little nerve-wracking, trying to find like a play that would be like a perfect fit for me, but I think going into it, I already knew that I wanted something that would kind of resonate with our community, and so when I did find the play, I just really liked the kind of core theme, and so that's what I ended up going with, and yeah, I'm really glad.
And Mariana kind of alluded to this, but could you tell me a little bit about how you guys converted the play from just pure text to what we saw on stage?
I guess for me, it took a lot of visualizing and just sitting with the actual text for myself. It's a little bit hard to get out of my head onto a piece of paper, but once I was able to do that, I was able to pinpoint specific things that I really liked about an actor's choice or a set piece, and that really resonated with my image, and just slowly but surely pointing those things out and gathering them all together, and I was able to create like what my vision was after reading it 1,000 times.
I really liked that I didn't really have to cement a vision that early in the process. I had some like basic elements, but I think what really brought the show to life for me was the collaboration with the other people. So first, collaborating with my cast and talking with them about their ideas and kind of seeing how they brought their characters to life, and also getting to collaborate with tech, I think was definitely one of my favorite parts, like seeing all the different elements come together and combining that with my own analysis. I think that's what really made the show successful.
For me, I actually drew. I saw it as, here's the stage, here's the world, and how would they be interacting in clumps on stage, and that's how I saw their relationships, not just as like the exchanges of words, because I had to do so much editing of my script. I had to see it more as who are the core of these characters and how do they relate to the other characters, and that's when I finally felt happy and I felt like I understood the play and why the play was written.
My show really focused on like Bethany's mind and like what was going on and like what was the subtext of everything. So I really enjoyed like diving deep into that and like really picking apart the text and seeing what other like factors kind of led to her eventual like moments, you know? So, and like also just being able to discuss with the directors, like we had so many great conversations in class, or sometimes we would be like, I don't know what to do for this scene, or like I don't really get the vision of this show or like this specific part, and just being able to talk it out with each other was super helpful, and I got so many like great ideas just like talking with them, and like we were just bouncing things off of each other, so that was really fun.
And kind of on that note, tell me a little bit about what it was like working with your other directors and what that like semester-long course was like.
Everyone had their strengths and everyone had their weaknesses, but as the four of us, I think worked really well to balance each other out. Because we have like the journalism kid who would do all the writing and the amazing announcements, and Izzy who just has a lot of hands-on experience and knows how to deal with actors. Like before all of us have ever done any directing, she worked over the summer with the PA, and Sonya is just like the little glue. But I think Sonya worked really hard in making sure we all felt heard, and she was kind of like this balancing kind of the director that brought us together almost. But I think we worked really well together, and as soon as we realized how to work with each other, we were unstoppable. I feel like honestly, it worked out really well.
I think another thing that was really helpful for me was when we were in our blocking kind of like phase of this project, when we would sit on these couches and just go through our script like word by word and try to figure out blocking. And that was like a hard process for all of us, I think, just to like really stick with an idea. And there would be so many times where I just like grab 3 of them and be like, get on your feet, and then make them try things and things like that. And like we did everything from like we did like intimacy rehearsals together, like we were trying to figure out like how to figure that out, and like fight scenes and all of that.
The just like amount of work and thought that like gets put into this entire process like really cemented us as like our little like group of 4, and it was a great class because it just so happened that all of the directors this year were young women. So it was great because Miss Segri was also teaching us about like women empowerment, stuff like that, just like how to be like a woman in power, if that makes sense. So it was great to step into that role and really find ourselves as people, not only as directors, but really gain that confidence in front of other people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just adding on to what you guys have said, I feel like all of us grew so much as like problem solvers. I think we all had we had some pretty big obstacles throughout the process, but just like having other people to kind of lean on, and even just like, you know, like giving each other a hug, or like talking through like, you know, how to deal with these obstacles in class. I think I really like would not have survived this process without having that support system. So
Tell me a little bit about what you guys thought was maybe like the greatest challenge that you guys faced during the process.
Let us sit with that. I think we faced more challenges in the first month than we did in Tech Week, which was kind of the reverse of how it's supposed to go. Because it's supposed to be like, oh, smooth, boom. But for us, it was kind of rocky the entire time. And we were working real hard before we thought we would be working, you know.
Yeah, but it was still fun.
It was so fun. It was so fun. Yeah. But wow.
I think for me, the biggest challenge was overcoming my self-doubt, and I think having to step up and having to literally direct people helped me grow a lot as a leader, helped me grow in my confidence a lot. And so that's something that I think is really valuable about this experience.
I think similar to that, I think something that was really difficult for me throughout the process was just putting like my complete and like blind trust in the process and my cast and like Miss Langry and just like this entire group. I think in the beginning I was very protective of that it was going to be my work that was on stage in January, and I wanted it to be perfect, and like that was something that I really struggled with the entire time. And like these guys were telling me, and my mom would always tell me, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, like it's not going to be perfect. And I think that was something that I struggled with a lot throughout the process, and slowly but surely I was able to learn to just like let it go and like trust my actors, because like at the end of the day, like watching the last performance, it was my vision at like the end of the day, and that wasn't I think it was something I wasn't expecting, and it was so nice to be able to just trust them completely and trust that it was going to work out by the end.
For me, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I'm very much like a people pleaser, and sometimes I like base my decisions off of other people because I'm just like indecisive sometimes. But now is like different, and I also realized that like just because I make a decision now doesn't mean it's like set in stone. So sometimes I would just tell myself like it's not that deep, it's not that serious right now, like it can be changed. But then also just like gaining confidence in myself and really like standing up for myself, because there were some situations where I really had to advocate for myself and for my show.
I mean, I feel like I have a little bit of everyone's tendencies. I was like the one who was right in the middle of all of it. But in some ways overcompensated for my lack of like experience in the conservatory almost, because you guys are all certificate and have taken like these classes. So I think I was working like 10 times harder to keep up in some sense, because I wanted to be able to prove that I knew how to do this when, I mean, we were all like kind of flying blind. But I think at the end of the day, I was pretty proud of how far like the details in my show came, how much time I spent with like Maggie and Natty and working on that lighting, I think it finally paid off. So like Sonya, it was kind of just trusting the process and hoping that the message of my show would come through the art, and that was really hard for me. So.
And do you guys have any favorite anecdotes or memories working with your casts?
There's something really special about that, like, performance day energy it's really unmatched. But I think also, in addition to that, I think something else I really valued was just all of the mundane moments, like during warm-ups and stuff. At first, I was just like really nervous, and I wanted something that would kind of start conversation. So I started having like questions of the day, just like asking really silly questions to my cast, and it got them talking and stuff. And then eventually people would start asking me like, Selina, what's your question of the day? Or like they'd like pitch in their own. It was just like really cute to like see my cast, you know, starting to get to know each other better, and like just seeing those dynamics naturally form, I think was really fulfilling. Yeah.
For me, at least, Tech Week is kind of when it all came together for us, like as a cast and like bonding wise. My show was first, so we had like a lot of like calmer downtime backstage. Like we weren't like super riled up because we didn't have that much time to like get scared, because it was literally just like warm up and then just go basically. So just like being able to just be with each other backstage, and especially closing night, my cast is super sweet. They got me like a poster, like all this candy and like all these little gifts, which are super cute, everything like that. So I just really think those moments backstage and just like in those holding rooms, even though like the nerves are a little bit high, but it was really fun. And we were like all reminiscing on certain times in rehearsals. We were playing games with each other, like we played Mafia. We even watched each other's shows on like the last night we were able to go up to the balcony. So just those last couple hours of like time together with our cast was really, really fun.
I think for me, over winter break, I had like a lot of people who were traveling, obviously, and that was like a moment, just like to be like very honest, like that was a moment with my show where I was really stressed out about like how the next week was gonna look, being Tech Week and all. We were incorporating like our sets, our lighting, our props, all of that in, and it was a really hard week, I think, for all of us. We were all very nervous about just like how things were going to turn out on Friday and Saturday. And so going into that week, I was really, really nervous and just like overall not feeling great about the whole process. Like I think that goes for all of us. But that Monday we had our first run through, which was, we just tried to do it as close to the real show as possible. And that was the first time I had been able to completely sit back, not say anything my entire run through, and just watch my show. And I don't know if it was because it was the first time we had an audience, or it was because we were in the theater, something, I don't know what happened, but my cast really just like sprung to life. And I was trying to take notes, but I couldn't, because I was smiling the entire time. They were making me like cry laughing, even though I'd seen the show like 10 times already. Like
I would say my cast, like they synergized. No, I'm just kidding. But I think from day one they got along pretty well, and I was really, really lucky that just the dynamics worked out really well. And so I think, of course, we got closer throughout the process, but by closing night, we were all just like tears, like, and they all get like all 9 of us, or 10 including me, we're all there just like sniffing each other's sweat and tears, and we're just like, we did it! And it was like the most genuinely proudest moment of my entire life. I mean, no words. It was crazy. Yeah.